Within the crystalline chambers of the Vrelkthar Council, horror ripples through alien delegates as humanity's ruthless warship tears through their defenses with terrifying efficiency. Confusion and dread grow as they struggle to comprehend. A species deemed primitive but capable of such devastation. Meanwhile, aboard the human vessel, quiet tension binds the crew, their grim purpose clear, a Deathworld warship ready to rewrite the galaxy's balance. One chilling promise signals the coming storm. The vast chamber of the Vrelkthar Council hummed with anxious energy, an eerie symphony of shifting light and cold, crystalline shadows. Hundreds of elongated, faceted eyes turned toward the holoscreen suspended in the air. The alien councillors were experts in warfare. Calculating, serene, their species' advanced protocols usually allowed them to anticipate any threat long before it fully materialized. But tonight, the data streaming before them shattered certainty. Vessel, unlike any they had catalogued, tore through the outer defenses of the Korvax system like a spectre. Its hull was dark and jagged, almost organic, yet radiating an uncanny technological prowess. It moved with purpose, silent except for the faintest pulse of energy disrupting the sensor array. "Impossible," hissed High Matriarch Ziltek, her many eyes narrowing. "Our scanners should have detected its fleet signatures hours ago." A younger councillor, trembling, responded. "Our patrols reported no movement beyond the edge of the asteroid belt. This is a stealth platform, cloaked." Ziltek's elongated mandibles clicked sharply. "Then it is no mere stealth. It is a Deathworld warship. The humans..." The murmurs rippled like a tremor across the chamber. Deathworld warships were legends, myths whispered about a species extinct or relegated to fringe systems. They were vessels designed not just to fight, but to annihilate entire ecosystems, entire planets, under the brutal doctrine of survival. "Through sacrifice, we have underestimated them," another voice broke through, a grizzled warlord with cracked battle scars etched into his exoskeleton. "They were primitive before, yes, but now this monstrosity, this harbinger of extinction." An explosive attack erupted on the holoscreen. Vrelkthar frigates melted under the barrage of searing plasma that seemed to bend gravity itself. Their defensive shields buckled, then imploded. The humans did not slow or waver. Each strike was precise, a surgical obliteration. The Council was stunned into silence as the human warship deployed swarms of nanobots, tiny metallic clouds that infiltrated the enemy hulls, short-circuiting their systems. An electromagnetic pulse surged outward, blacking out communications and guidance for miles. "How do they possess such technology?" Ziltek whispered, a rare tremor in her voice. "Our archivists have no record. Our diplomats have no treaties. They should have been controlled." A cold dread gripped the chamber. The humans were not just a threat. They were a revelation, an enigma that defied all logic. The whispers grew louder. Revenge, ancient grudges, death incarnate. Inside the human warship Nemesis, Commander Ilara Voss stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the glowing holomap, tracing the destruction behind them. Her jaw was tight, hands steady on the console, but beneath her calm exterior simmered a fierce fire. "All systems optimal," reported Lieutenant Jaren, voice clipped but strained. "Enemy fleet incapacitated, EMPs deployed as ordered." Ilara's gaze drifted to the small, worn pendant hanging from her neck, a simple silver sigil from Earth's old mythology symbolizing death and rebirth. It was their reminder, their oath. The bridge was quiet except for the low hum of reactors. No celebrations, no cheers, only the cold resolve that this was just the beginning. She keyed a command into the comm console, sending a silent message. Across the network, a countdown encoded within a single pulse of data. From the silence, her voice broke through, low and deadly calm. "They called us threats. Let them witness why." Her words echoed like a promise, a warning. The galaxy had misread humanity's wrath, and the nemesis was the reckoning to come. Back in the Vrelkthar Council chamber, an uneasy silence settled. The delegates' faceted eyes flicked between each other, some glistening with the first signs of fear. High Matriarch Jultek slammed a clawed fist against the crystalline dais. Prepare the fleets. Initiate full alert. Humanity was labeled a threat. Now their Deathworld warships prove it instantly. The galaxy's reckoning has begun. The chamber darkened, the weight of a power shift undeniable. The Watchers had underestimated the predators in their midst. As the shattered remnants of the Korvax defense retreat, panic spreads through the Vrelkthar fleets. Meanwhile, Commander Ilara Voss contemplates the human cost behind their deadly efficiency. Haunted by the ghosts of Earth's brutal history, the alien warlord confronts the horrifying reality of a species that blends primal ferocity with terrifying technology, and a strategic nightmare begins to unfold. The fractured Vrelkthar fleet limped toward the nearest jump gate, battered and broken, their sleek hulls scarred and smoke trailing like wounded beasts. The skies above Korvax glowed with residual flares, the dying embers of a battle lost in minutes. In the command chamber of the flagship Vrelkthar Dawn, Warlord Kthrax stared at the tactical display, his claws drumming a rapid, uneven rhythm. His faceplate, usually stoic and sharp-edged, was cracked in several places, faintly leaking a phosphorescent fluid. Behind him, his officers moved in frantic coordination, issuing orders that barely concealed their dread. How did they breach our sensor nets? How did they know our fleet's exact disposition? Kthrax's voice was a growl thick with disbelief. This is no mere assault. It's a calculated annihilation. Commander, a younger officer said, voice trembling, our intelligence indicates their ships are not just technologically advanced, but biologically integrated. Some kind of symbiotic nanotech we have never encountered. The warlord's multifaceted eyes darkened. We treated them as a primitive species. This is our greatest failing. Far from the battlefield, aboard the Nemesis, Commander Ilara Voss surveyed the bridge through tired eyes. The crew worked with cold precision, but each action carried the weight of hard-earned survival. She reached a console displaying a live feed of their Deathworld warship's exterior, a brutal, jagged silhouette against the starfield. It was more than a machine. It was a war monument forged from Earth's darkest lessons, planet killers and survivalists, born from centuries of betrayal, isolation, and bloodshed. "Captain," whispered Dr. Kamal Singh, the ship's xenobiologist, stepping beside her. "The Vrelkthar thought us extinct, irrelevant. They could never imagine the horrors born on Earth's deathworlds." Ilara nodded slowly. "They forget. Survival here demands sacrifice, and in sacrifice, power." Her mind flickered to the grim history etched into every crevice of their warship's hull. The countless planets that humanity had fought to protect or reclaim, worlds where death was a constant shadow and war was the only language spoken. "Do you ever wonder why we fight like this?" Kamal asked quietly, almost afraid of the answer. Ilara's eyes hardened, because if we don't, no one else will, and because they labeled us threats long before they saw what we truly are. Back in the Vrelkthar Dawn, the alien warlord convened with his advisors, desperate for a plan. "Deploy the Shadow Phalanx," he ordered. "Our stealth frigates must track them. We need their coordinates. Without it, we cannot mount a counterattack." "But," the tactical officer interjected, "our comms are still crippled. The EMPs wiped out our relay stations for at least 3 hours." Kthrax slammed his fist against the holodesk, frustration giving way to a rare show of raw panic. "Then we face them blind. We must survive this. The Council cannot afford humiliation." One young officer, eyes wide with fear, muttered, "What if they come to us next? What if humanity's wrath spreads like wildfire?" Kthrax turned sharply. "Then we burn with it, but we will not kneel." Within the quiet hum of Nemesis, Ilara pulled up the encrypted transmission logs. Every byte of data from this attack would be dissected, weaponized. Humanity's next moves would be sharper, faster, deadlier. She allowed herself a breath, a rare moment of vulnerability. "I wonder if they see us as monsters," she murmured almost to herself. "Or if they fear us because we embrace what they refuse to acknowledge, that war is survival's ultimate truth." Suddenly, the comm panel blinked. A silent alert. An encrypted signal. A challenge, sent directly to Nemesis from an unknown source. Ilara's hand hovered over the interface. "Prepare for response," she ordered. "Let them know. Humans do not wait for war. We end it." The crew stiffened. The silent war was about to escalate. On Korvax's moonlit plains, a lone scout watched the distant stars with trembling antennae. The sky was no longer safe. The galaxy had shifted beneath their feet. Beneath the cold light of a dying sun, the first whispers of humanity's revenge spread like wildfire. The shattered alien command scrambles to adapt, splintering into factions, torn between fear and resolve. On board the Nemesis, a soldier confronts the brutal realities of Deathworld warfare as humanity's hidden tech reveals devastating new weapons. As alliances fracture and secrets surface, the battlefield becomes a crucible of will and survival. The remnants of the Vrelkthar fleet gathered beneath the dark canopy of the Arxos Nebula, a swirling tempest of cosmic dust and radiation. The warlord Cathrax paced in his command room, flanked by officers whose faces bore exhaustion deeper than any wound. Reports flooded in, entire battalions decimated, their systems corrupted by a nano-assault unlike anything recorded. The Council's once unshakable faith in their technological supremacy was eroding rapidly. "High Matriarch demands our surrender," hissed an envoy, his voice barely steady. "They say the humans have made a demonstration no fleet can withstand." Cathrax's multifaceted eyes burned with fury. "Surrender is death. We are not beaten yet, but we must change tactics." In the shadows of the chamber, murmurs of dissent took root. Some argued for negotiation, others for a desperate strike on Earth itself, a planet they barely understood. The unity of the Vrelkthar faltered as fear twisted into paranoia. Deep within the steel belly of the Nemesis, Private Jax Rydell scrubbed his weapon, the cool metal familiar in his hands. His breaths came uneven, the adrenaline from the battle still coursing through his veins. "Hell of a fight," Jax muttered to himself. The warship's interior vibrated faintly as reactors hummed with barely contained power. From the corner of the room, Sergeant Mira Holt approached, eyes sharp beneath her helmet. "They'll come back," she said, voice low. "Stronger, smarter." Jax's gaze hardened. "Good, we'll be ready. Deathworld tech isn't just firepower, it's survival. Our nanobots can crawl through their circuits like disease. EMP, it bursts. We shut down whole fleets," Mira nodded grimly. "But it's the price we pay. Every victory costs more than we like to admit." Jax looked away, the weight of losses pressing down. "I just hope the Council remembers why we do this, because they marked us dangerous long ago." On Korvax, political fissures exploded as Vrelkthar nobles jockeyed for power. Some whispered that humanity's attack was a sign that the ancient wars were never truly over. Are we to cower behind nebulas while monsters like humans dictate fate? One noble snarled during a tense meeting, "They wear their savagery like armor." Others, more pragmatic, argued for new alliances, even with lesser species once considered insignificant. "If we do not evolve our strategy," a grim-faced diplomat warned, "we will become extinct." Behind closed doors, scientists pored over captured debris from the battle, fragments of human nanotech that defied comprehension. Dr. Yelexa, a Vrelkthar technomancer, whispered, "Their technology is alive, adaptive. It changes faster than we can analyze. Back aboard the Nemesis, Commander Ilara stood over the war map. The fleet they faced was splintered but dangerous. The humans' next move was uncertain, a shadow on the chessboard. Her comm buzzed. Lieutenant Jaren's voice was steady but urgent. Unknown vessels detected on the fringe. Scanning, Ilara frowned. Cloaking disrupted. Partial. They're moving fast. Could be reinforcements. She clenched her jaw. Prepare all systems. If they want war, we'll give them the reckoning. Night fell across Korvax's barren landscapes. In the dim glow of distant stars, a lone alien scout transmitted a desperate signal, a warning that the humans' wrath was only beginning. Somewhere in the darkness, humanity's Deathworld warships waited silently, their engines thrumming. Like a heartbeat of destruction yet to come, the galaxy held its breath. Tensions boil over as alien factions debate surrender or all-out war, while human leaders prepare for the next brutal strike. A scientist aboard Nemesis reveals a terrifying new weapon born from Earth's Deathworlds. The stakes escalate as survival becomes a merciless gamble, and the true cost of humanity's vengeance begins to weigh heavily on all. The echo of fractured alliances rang through the Vrelkthar capital. Warlord Kethrax sat in cold silence while the council's chamber erupted in chaos. Noble voices rose, accusing and pleading, hope and fear twisting like sharp knives through the thick air. Submission is weakness, spat one elder, veins bulging with fury. To yield to Earth's monsters would be to invite annihilation. Another rose, voice trembling but resolute. We have no choice. Our fleets lie shattered, our defenses breached by weapons we cannot comprehend. To fight blindly is to die in vain. Kethrax slammed a clawed fist on the table. I will not let humanity's fire consume us all. We will adapt. We will strike back where it hurts. The room fell into grudging silence, but the fractures ran deep. In the shadows, rival factions whispered of covert sabotage, desperate gambits, and even forbidden pacts. Aboard the Nemesis, Commander Ilara Voss stood over a holographic display, her face a mask of resolve laced with exhaustion. The battle had revealed much, too much. Humanity's Deathworld warships were not only vessels of destruction, but carriers of lethal innovations born from centuries of ruthless survival. Dr. Kamal Singh approached, holding a slender case. Ilara, this is what we've been working on, the Grav Echo Pulse. It's a weapon that bends gravitational fields to crush enemy ships before they can react. Ilara's eyes narrowed. Tell me it's ready for deployment. Almost. The nanite swarms integrate with the pulse, making it adaptive. It learns and counters enemy defenses in real time. Her fingers brushed the display, watching the pulse's simulated effect. A starship's hull, buckling and collapsing inward, crushed by unseen forces. Then we unleash it, Ilara said coldly. Let them understand what survival truly means. Padapu. Within Vrelkthar laboratories, Dr. Yalexa stared at recovered human tech through an array of bioscanners. The nanites weren't just machines. They were living, evolving organisms designed to infiltrate, adapt, and consume. How can a species so young wield such power? She whispered, her voice cracking. They are a plague, a Deathworld nightmare come to life. She sent a coded transmission to her superiors, warning of the escalating threat. Yet even as she spoke, doubt crept in. Was it their technology that doomed them, or their failure to understand the brutal logic of human survival? In the war rooms of the Nemesis, soldiers prepped for what was to come. Private Jax Riedel tightened his armor plates, the cold metal a stark contrast to the heat simmering beneath his skin. Sergeant Mira Holt handed him a charge pack. This pulse weapon will change the game. But it's not just tech. It's a message. We're telling them we're done hiding. Jack swallowed hard. The galaxy has underestimated Earth for too long. Time they learned what Deathworld fighters can do. Mira's eyes locked with his. And when the dust settles, I want you to remember this. Sometimes the hardest battle isn't against the enemy but ourselves. Back on Korvax, the Council's divisions grew more volatile. Whispers of rebellion and betrayal spread like wildfire, threatening to tear the fragile alliance apart. Humanity's war is not just military, a diplomat said quietly. It's psychological. They crush hope before they strike. We must either become stronger or vanish. Cathrax clenched his jaws. We will find a way, we must. But as the stars outside flickered with distant fires, a grim truth settled. Humanity was no longer a threat to be negotiated with. They were a force bent on survival, vengeance, and dominance. The Nemesis's bridge hummed with focused energy. Ilara's voice cut through the tension. Prepare the Grav Echo Pulse. Initiate silent launch sequence. This ends now. The crew responded with practiced efficiency. Outside, Deathworld warships glided forward like predators, stalking the galaxy's shadows. And somewhere, beneath the cold light of distant suns, the galaxy waited, terrified of what humanity's wrath might unleash next. Amidst mounting pressure, the humans prepared to deploy their Grav Echo Pulse against the alien fleets, revealing the devastating consequences of Deathworld warfare. On the alien side, paranoia and desperation threatened to fracture their society irreparably. Meanwhile, human soldiers faced the psychological toll of relentless combat, wrestling with what survival demands and what it costs them. The hum of the Nemesis's engines pulsed like a heartbeat through the ship's corridors as the crew readied for the Grave Echo Pulse deployment. Commander Ilara Voss paced the command deck, her expression a blend of determination and weariness. The weight of command pressed heavy on her shoulders. "Status report," she demanded, eyes scanning the fluctuating holograms of enemy formations. "Lieutenant." Jaren's voice cut through the tension. "Enemy fleet dispersing. Sensors indicate confusion and disarray following last engagement. Their cloaking fields are unstable." Ilara nodded slowly. "Good. Let's press that advantage. Prepare the pulse." Below decks, Dr. Kamal Singh ran final diagnostics on the Grav Echo Pulse generator. His fingers danced across the console, monitoring the nanite swarm's behavior. As they integrated with the gravitational field emitters, "This weapon isn't just destructive, it's adaptive," Kamal explained to a nearby technician. "It learns from enemy responses and recalibrates to exploit weaknesses instantaneously. It's like sending a predator into the heart of their fleet." The technician swallowed nervously. "And the cost?" Kamal's eyes flickered. "The energy draw is immense. We can only sustain a pulse for a few seconds, but it'll be enough." In the shattered command hub of the Vrelkthar, Warlord Cathrax's many eyes darted nervously as he received fragmented reports from the front. "Lines, Grav Echo Pulse detected," his tactical officer warned. "Our vessels' hulls are collapsing inward. Losses are catastrophic." Cathrax's claws clenched the console. "We must retreat and regroup. Send all available vessels to protect the homeworld." The Council's unity fractured further, fear corroding their resolve. Some demanded immediate surrender, others reckless counterattacks. In the quiet moments between chaos, Cathrax wondered, had the galaxy truly misread humanity? Were the so-called primitives the ultimate predators, forged by their death worlds into unstoppable hunters? Meanwhile, on the deck of the Nemesis, Private Jax Rydell adjusted his gear as the ship trembled. Nearby, Sergeant Mira Holt stood rigid, scanning the viewport where distant stars shimmered like watchful eyes. "Every mission changes us," Mira said quietly. "You ready for what comes next?" Jax nodded, though doubt gnawed at him. "I am, but sometimes I wonder, what if we lose ourselves in this war?" Mira's gaze hardened. then we become the monsters they fear. But remember this, our strength isn't just tech, it's that fire inside us, the refusal to back down. That's what terrifies them. Back on Korvax, Dr. Yalexa studied the remains of human nanites under her microscope. The organism's resilience defied everything known to Vrelkthar science. "How do they survive so much?" she murmured. "Every system we shut down, they rebuild within hours. They adapt on a molecular level." Her transmission to the Council was met with silence. The alien leaders were too busy fracturing to heed warnings. Outside, the nebula's cold light flickered, an ominous reminder that humanity's Deathworld warships prowled like ghosts, ready to strike again. Ilara returned. To the bridge, the grav echo pulse primed and humming. The ship's crew waited, breaths held. "Target locked," she said. "Fire on my command." The pulse launched, a ripple through space-time, bending gravity fields with lethal precision. In an instant, distant enemy ships groaned, their hulls folding inward as if crushed by invisible hands. Explosions blossomed across the battlefield, lighting the void with deadly beauty. "Impact successful," Lieutenant Jaron reported. "Enemy fleet is disintegrating." But victory was bittersweet. Ilara's eyes darkened. "This war will demand more than firepower. We must be ready for what humanity's survival truly costs." In the aftermath, the galaxy held its breath. The primitive species branded as threats had shown the terrifying truth. They were born of death worlds, unforgiving crucibles that forged monsters not just of muscle and metal, but of relentless spirit. And as the stars watched silently, a chilling realization settled into the cold void. Humanity's war was only beginning. Amid mounting destruction, the alien factions fracture under pressure, and a daring human scientist reveals an even darker secret weapon drawn from Deathworld horrors. Meanwhile, human soldiers confront the mental scars of endless battle, questioning the price of vengeance and survival. The galaxy teeters on the edge as humanity's wrath escalates beyond reckoning. The shattered remnants of the Vrelkthar fleet limped toward the outer sectors, each ship a wounded beast dragging scars through cold void. Warlord Cathrax stared into the holographic void, watching star maps bleed with losses. The once mighty armada had become a ragged shadow. "We cannot hold like this," Cathrax growled. "Our unity crumbles, and Earth's war machine grows hungrier." A trembling voice interrupted. "Our people fear your recklessness. They whisper surrender or treason." Cathrax's many eyes flared with cold fury. "Surrender means extinction. I will not yield to monsters born of death worlds." The council chamber seethed with unrest, whispers of betrayal drifting like poison. On board the Nemesis, Dr. Kamal Singh stood before a sealed containment unit. Inside, a pulsating black sphere, no larger than a fist, seemed to absorb light, swallowing shadows. "This is the Void Spike," Kamal explained to Ilara, voice low. "A weapon born from the harshest Deathworld environments. It's a singularity core engineered to collapse space locally, obliterating anything within meters." Ilara's breath caught. "It's beyond destruction," Kamal nodded grimly. "It's our ultimate gambit, too powerful to deploy lightly. But if the galaxy wants a message, this will burn it into their memory." Ilara's jaw tightened. "Prepare it. We may not get another chance." Meanwhile, in a makeshift Vrelkthar infirmary, Dr. Yalexa examined soldiers racked with fear and despair. Their species was crumbling under the psychological weight of the war. "How can we fight a force that thrives on death?" one warrior whispered. "They do not bleed like us. They do not fear like us." Yalexa's eyes filled with sorrow. Perhaps that is the true horror, that they are not just survivors, but predators shaped by worlds where death is the law. Back on the Nemesis, Private Jax Radel stood in the dim glow of the armory. His hands trembled as he loaded ammunition, the constant battles grinding his spirit. Sergeant Mira Holt appeared beside him. "You carry the weight of every fallen comrade," she said softly. "But remember, strength isn't just fighting. Out there, it's the courage to keep going when hope feels lost." Jax nodded, swallowing the knot in his throat. "I'm scared. Scared we're becoming the monsters they warned about." Mira's gaze pierced him. "Monsters survive, heroes die. Choose what you want to be." In a darkened Vrelkthar war room, dissent erupted. Younger officers openly challenged their elders, accusing them of failing to grasp the human threat. "They come from worlds where death shapes every breath," one shouted. "Their ships are Deathworld warships, designed to crush and consume." An elder's voice cracked with desperation. "And yet we cling to hope. Is hope enough against extinction?" The answer hung heavy, a silent no. Back on the Nemesis, Ilara's command deck flickered as the Void Spike's containment field hummed. The weapon promised obliteration, but at a terrible cost. "Are we ready to cross this line?" Ilara whispered to Kamal. He met her gaze. "If we do not, we perish. If we do, we risk becoming the nightmare they fear." Her fingers tightened into a fist. "Then let the galaxy tremble." The void outside seemed to pulse with impending doom. Deathworld warships, scarred and relentless, moved forward in eerie silence. Humanity's war was no longer a desperate fight. It had become a reckoning, and somewhere deep within the cold stars, the galaxy shuddered. Tensions crack the alien alliance as desperation deepens, while human warships reveal deadly new tactics inspired by Deathworld survival. Soldiers grapple with haunting memories, and a secretive human operative executes a high-stakes mission that could tilt the war's balance. The gulf between species grows, between terror and awe, death and survival. The shattered Vrelkthar Council Hall glimmered weakly under fractured energy fields. Shadows stretched like creeping fingers over cracked stone floors as faction leaders argued bitterly. "We face extinction," hissed General Vorak, voice sharp like broken glass. "Your hesitation costs us dearly." High Priestess Ralith's eyes burned cold. "The humans are monsters molded by Deathworlds. We can neither negotiate nor understand their wrath." "You speak of monsters," Vorak snapped, "yet you fail to act. Your prayers won't save." "Us!" Voices rose, anger boiling into chaos. The alliance teetered on collapse as fear ate away trust. Far from alien turmoil, Captain Jessamalo prepared the Death's Warden for deployment. The ship was a testament to human Deathworld engineering, armored with adaptive nanoweave plating, shielded by cloaking grav fields, and bristling with plasma lances. "Mission orders?" her XO asked, eyes sharp. "Hit their command nexus and disrupt their communications," Jessa said with a grim smile. "We show them why Deathworld tactics aren't just for survival, they're for total domination." Below decks, Specialist Aiden Cross ran simulations on the nanite swarms programmed for rapid self-repair. "They learn fast," Aiden noted. "If damaged, they adapt their repair mechanisms instantly. The enemy won't get a second chance." "Science." Officer Lyra stood nearby, her face pale but determined. "They call it the Iron Blossom Protocol, blooming destruction from impossible odds." On the front lines, Private Jax Rydell crouched behind scorched debris. His breath came, ragged as memories flashed, faces of comrades lost, screams swallowed by void silence. Mira Holt's voice steadied him. "Focus. Remember what we fight for." Jax closed his eyes, fighting the creeping numbness. "What if surviving means losing ourselves?" Mira's gaze hardened. "Then we fight to reclaim that self, every day." Back on the alien homeworld, Warlord Kithrak stared at the star map ablaze with human strikes. "They're ghosts, wolves born of Deathworlds," Kithrax muttered. "We underestimated what threat truly means." An aide approached. The void spike has been deployed. Reports say entire fleets disintegrated within minutes. Cathrax's claws clenched. This war will end in ruin or rebirth. Meanwhile, deep in human intelligence networks, Operative Celine Vark executed a covert insertion onto the Vrelkthar flagship. Her mission: plant EMP nanobombs in critical systems to cripple enemy mobility. Silent as shadow, Celine moved through corridors, her nanotech suit blending with darkness. The weight of centuries of Deathworld survival hung in her resolve. She planted charges, each pulse a countdown to chaos. Back on Nemesis, Commander Ilara watched Celine's feed. Once those bombs go off, their fleet won't just retreat, they'll shatter, Ilara whispered. But at what cost? Her comm buzzed. Warning, EMP feedback detected in nearby sectors. Ilara's pulse quickened. Brace for impact. The void erupted in blinding silence as pulses radiated outward. Ships shuddered, systems flickered, and enemy vessels stalled like wounded beasts. A scream echoed across frequencies, a mixture of fear, disbelief, and shattered command. As systems died, Celine's voice crackled. Charges deployed, time to vanish. She slipped away into the void, a phantom born from Deathworld darkness. In the aftermath, alien commanders scrambled to salvage their fleets, but hope was slipping through their claws like stardust. The galaxy trembled beneath the footsteps of a species once dismissed as primitive. Humanity's Deathworld warships had shown the universe what true survival meant. As alien fleets struggled to regroup after the devastating EMP strike, human forces pushed their advantage with ruthless precision. A scientist unveils a mysterious Deathworld technology that could shift the war's tides dramatically. Meanwhile, internal conflicts and haunting memories weigh heavily on both sides, revealing the deep psychological cost of this galaxy-wide conflict. The wreckage of the Vrelkthar armada drifted aimlessly through space, systems flickering on, the edge of failure. The once feared warships, now crippled and vulnerable, were no longer instruments of conquest, but symbols of desperation. Warlord Kithrax paced within his flagship, claws tapping rhythmically against a console. His eyes, glowing with fury and exhaustion, scanned the damaged fleet status. "Patch communications," he ordered. "We must rally what remains. The humans are relentless." From the comm panel, a distressed voice replied, "Our forces are scattered and morale plummets." They did not just attack, they erased entire squadrons. Cathrax's jaw tightened. Their Deathworld warships, designed for one purpose: total annihilation. We cannot fight them as we did before. In a stark, humming laboratory aboard Nemesis, Dr. Kamal Singh stood over a containment field, emitting eerie pulses. The new technology was unlike anything previously encountered. A living biomechanical organism harvested from Earth's most hostile deathworlds. "This is the Grave Vine," Kamal explained to Commander Ilara. "It's a sentient, adaptive bioweapon. It latches onto enemy hulls, invades systems, and dismantles their machinery from the inside out." Ilara's expression was unreadable. "A weapon that kills like a virus. How long before it turns on us?" Kamal shook his head. "It's programmed to only target foreign technology, but using it means embracing the darkest corners of our Deathworld heritage." On the battlefront, Sergeant Mira Hult led a squad through the scorched remains of a once-proud alien cruiser. The silence was deafening, broken only by the distant crackle of unstable energy cores. "Keep your eyes sharp," Mira whispered. "They'll have traps. This is their home turf." Private Jax Riedel moved cautiously, the weight of loss heavy on his shoulders. Each step was a reminder of the price paid. "Why do they fight so hard?" Jax muttered. "We're just humans, and yet we terrify them." Mira glanced at him. "Because we come from worlds where death teaches lessons the galaxy refuses to learn." Back in the alien command center, fractures deepened. Younger officers whispered of surrender, while elders insisted on brutal retaliation. "Your tactics will doom us all," accused Captain Yakar. "The humans use Deathworld tech we cannot comprehend," a senior officer spat back. "We must adapt or perish. Our traditions mean nothing when faced with extinction." The room erupted in bitter debate. The alliances, unity hanging by a thread. In the Nemesis war room, Ilara watched real-time battle feeds, her face a mask of determination and fatigue. "Kamal, prepare the Gravevine units for deployment," she ordered. "If the enemy won't yield, we'll make them obsolete." Kamal nodded. "Once unleashed, there's no turning back." Aboard a hidden recon ship, Celine Vark analyzed, intercepted alien transmissions, her fingers flying over holographic displays. "Their desperation grows," she reported. "They're mobilizing experimental countermeasures." Ilara leaned forward. "Then we strike before they can adapt." The Gravevine units launched silently, drifting toward the crippled alien fleet. The bioweapons crept across hulls, unseen and unstoppable, tearing through circuits with ravenous efficiency. On the alien ships, alarms blared as systems failed, panic spreading like wildfire. Warlord Cathrax's voice was a growl. "Contain the infection, destroy the invaders, no matter the cost." As the bioweapon devoured alien technology, the psychological toll became clear. Soldiers faced horrors, not just of battle, but of creeping inevitability. "Are we fighting enemies or death itself?" whispered a wounded warrior. In the quiet moments between battles, human soldiers grappled with their own ghosts. Jax sat alone, staring at a fading star. "We're the monsters, aren't we?" he muttered. Mira joined him, placing a steady hand on his shoulder. "No, we're survivors, and sometimes that means walking through darkness to bring the light." The galaxy watched in awe and terror. Humanity, forged in Deathworld fires, had become a force beyond reckoning. Their warships, their weapons, their very will, each a testament to survival at any cost. And as the war escalated, one truth became undeniable. The universe would never be the same. Humanity unleashes the Gravevine bioweapon, overwhelming alien fleets in a harrowing display of calculated destruction. Yet, as victory seems near, cracks form in human ranks, haunted by the cost of their methods. Meanwhile, alien factions splinter between surrender and ruthless retaliation, setting the stage for a brutal reckoning that tests the very limits of survival and mercy. The void pulsed with silent devastation as the Gravevine took hold. Alien warships, once symbols of power, became lifeless husks, their circuits eaten away by the insidious living weapon. On board the flagship Nemesis, Commander Ilara stared at the feed, her eyes burning with exhaustion and something darker, regret. "Is this the price of victory?" she whispered. Dr. Kamal Singh stood nearby, arms crossed, his gaze fixed on the swirling bioorganic mass within the containment field. "We created a weapon that doesn't just kill, it consumes, it corrupts, it leaves nothing but ruin." Ilara's jaw clenched. "And yet it's the only way to end this war." Meanwhile, deep within the shattered remains of the Vrelkthar fleet, Warlord Cathrax rallied his remaining forces. "Enough!" His voice thundered through the command chamber. "We must unify or perish." His lieutenants exchanged uneasy glances. The relentless human assault had shattered not just their ships but their will. "You propose surrender?" Undemanded disbelief etched in his tone. "No," Cathrax replied coldly, "but we adapt. We become what they fear most." He gestured to a map highlighting remote, harsh worlds, the death worlds humans had come from. "Let us return to the shadows and learn their secrets." On the battlefield, Sergeant Mira Holt's squad advanced cautiously, the oppressive silence thick with dread. Gravevine units are still active, Mira warned. "We have minutes before these ships collapse completely." Private Jax Riedel's eyes darted nervously. "Sometimes I wonder if we're the ones infected by this war." Mira paused, her voice softening. "War infects all who fight it, but it's what we do afterward that defines us." Back aboard the Nemesis, Operative Celine Vark prepared for another covert mission, this time to sabotage alien shipyards rumored to be developing countermeasures. As she suited up, memories of the darkness on Deathworlds flickered through her mind. Harsh lessons learned from merciless environments where survival demanded cruelty. Her voice was steady over comms. "If we don't strike now, they'll rise again stronger than before." In alien enclaves scattered across the galaxy, dissent festered. Some favored brutal retaliation, fire and blood to punish humanity's perceived savagery. Others advocated secret parley, hoping to understand or even harness Deathworld tech for themselves. The Alliance's fragile bonds threatened to dissolve entirely. Commander Ilara convened her officers in the war room. "The Grapevine has given us an edge," she stated, eyes scanning the anxious faces. "But each victory exacts a toll." She turned to Dr. Singh. "How soon before we can control it, use it without risking ourselves?" "The technology is unpredictable," he admitted. "Biological weapons of this nature evolve. We must proceed cautiously." Ilara's gaze hardened. "There is no room for hesitation. Our enemies won't wait." In a hidden alien stronghold, Cathrax studied ancient Deathworld data seized during raids. He marveled at humanity's brutal ingenuity. "They embraced the savage," he murmured, "and turned it into a weapon." The alien warlord felt a dark resolve settle within him. "If we are to survive, we must become monsters ourselves." On the front lines, human soldiers prepared for what might be the final assault. Mira looked toward the stars, shadows of fallen friends haunting her thoughts. "We fight for those who can't," she whispered. Jax nodded. "For all of us." As alien forces fractured and human resolve hardened, the galaxy held its breath. Humanity's Deathworld warships had revealed a truth too terrible to ignore. Survival was not given. It was forged in fire and blood. And in the cold expanse of space, the war's brutal dance moved ever onward, a testament to the fierce, terrifying heart of humanity. The void was a storm of shouts and flashing lights aboard the flagship Nemesis. The latest alien counterstrike had been repelled, but at a cost that echoed through every bone in Commander Ilara's body. "Status report," she demanded, voice steady but tinged with exhaustion. Lieutenant Arin's fingers danced over the console. "We've sustained heavy damage, but Grapevine units neutralized nearly all incoming threats. Enemy fleets fractured into rogue factions." Ilara exhaled sharply. "We are closer to victory, and yet farther from peace." Across fractured alien command posts, fear was mutating into something darker, resentment. Warlord Cathrax stood before a small council of the most hardened officers. "The humans' Deathworld technology is not just weaponry," he said quietly. "It's a philosophy of survival, one we have ignored for too long." One officer sneered, "So, we become monsters." "We become what we must," Cathrax answered. "They see us as primitive. We will prove them wrong." Meanwhile, aboard Nemesis, Dr. Kamal Singh studied new data streams pouring in from the battlefield. "The Grapevine is adapting," he warned. "It's evolving faster than anticipated. We may soon lose control." Ilara's eyes flicked to the glowing bioorganic mass housed in a containment chamber nearby. "Can it turn on us?" she asked quietly. Kamal met her gaze. "It could. And if it does, humanity itself will pay the price." Sergeant Mira Holt led her team through the shattered corridors of a downed alien dreadnought. Their footsteps echoed among twisted metal and fallen comrades. Intel suggests they're developing new EMP-based disruptors, she said grimly. We need to find and destroy their labs before they can strike again. Private Jax Riedel scanned. The darkness, tension coiling in his chest. We're running out of time and options. Mira nodded, voice heavy with unspoken memories. We survive by adapting, just like they do. Celine Vark prepared for a covert insertion, deep into enemy territory. Remember, she told her team, our mission is to sabotage their supply lines. We fight shadows now, but these shadows are deadly. Her mind flashed back to the Deathworlds, places where every breath could be a last. She carried that cold precision in her veins, ready to do what was necessary. Back in the alien stronghold, Cathrax grappled with his own doubts. They fear us, he whispered to himself, because we refuse to die quietly. The warlord stared at a holomap, flickering with retreat paths and lost colonies. Maybe we have misunderstood humanity all along, he mused. Their Deathworld ships aren't just weapons. They are warnings. In the Nemesis war room, Ilara faced her highest council. Do we continue with the Gravevine assault? She asked, voice low but resolute. Or do we consider surrender terms? A murmur spread. We are not savages, one officer said, but neither can we afford mercy that risks our extinction. Ilara nodded. Humanity was labeled a threat. Now we decide if we are executioners or survivors. As the battlefield fell into uneasy quiet, a new fear crept among humans and aliens alike, that the war might unleash horrors neither side could contain. And in that silence, the true war began, one not of firepower but of will, mercy, and the question of what it truly meant to survive. Far from the front lines, beneath fractured stars, a child from each world, one human, one alien, stared up at the same sky. They did not know of the war. They did not know of the bloodshed or betrayals. They only knew that night brought questions. Do you think the stars are watching us? The human child asked. The alien child blinked with glimmering eyes. Maybe they're waiting to see if we become something worth watching. Deep in the ruins of a fallen city, Selene crouched beside a broken transmitter, her breath ragged. Signal pulsed through the static. Cathrax's voice, rough but clear. I offer ceasefire, no lies, no traps, just a chance. She stared at the receiver, heart caught between instinct and hope. In the end, she pressed the reply button. Listen. Back in the war room, Ilara stood before a new map, not of conquest, but of possibilities. Then we begin again, she said, not as enemies, as survivors. And so, across scorched skies and shattered worlds, a fragile thread was drawn. Not peace, not yet, but something older. A choice. Because in the silence that followed, war, both sides learned one truth. To survive is not merely to endure, it is to choose what not to become. And that choice had just begun.